Scott, Pro Bowler, second team all Pro Bowl. You know, you love him. He joins us now on that Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Bart, good morning to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And the big story of the day is the fact that we will not see the Steelers and the Ravens playing tonight in primetime on Thanksgiving Day. You, being a former member of one of these teams, understands the significance of playing on Thanksgiving Day. How do you feel the Steelers should feel about having their game moved due to the Ravens' recklessness, essentially?
Well, it's the Ravens' recklessness. It's not the players' recklessness, and that's really ultimately who it hurts the most is the players. And listen, I'm not saying this because I'm a Raven. I'm saying this because it's the right thing to do. You know, you need to keep everything in perspective if you're the Steelers and understand the world in which we're living in. I understand that it's an inconvenience for them, but imagine how the Ravens feel as well and what an unfair competitive advantage it would be for you to have to go play in any game, let alone a rivalry and one that has implications about playing in the playoffs. And you had no running backs. You were down to your third-string running back. How about if this would have happened to them by no fault of the players and Ben and Mason Rudolph was hurt? How would they feel about going in that game, understanding how important it is? I think that the NFL did the right thing. I understand the implications, financially, what it means, pulling the game from NBC. How do you reseed this game? Do they play on NBC on a 1 o'clock game, which is unheard of? How does that affect their other television partners? It's a lot that goes on into this. But I feel like if you're going to have the safety of both teams, in mind, what if one of those players have a false negative and then they give it to one of the Steelers, and then in the midst of their path to try and go undefeated, they have an outbreak on their team because they played a team that had positive tests.
Bart, over your illustrious career, I imagine there's been a time at least where your Ravens or Jets have played on Thanksgiving. Maybe not. But can you
Really? You're going to ask me that the butt fumble day? I have to live that every day. Really? That's where we're going to go?
That's exactly
right. We're picking scabs today. That's what we're doing.
And you know what, Mark? And Mark's my guy, too. I actually should not have even done that. That I should have had that in the back of my head as knowledge.
Turkey wasn't good either. And after I did that, guess what we had? We had rump roast for dinner. That's what we got. Rump roast is for losers.
So now that we've relived that awful memory, there is something incredibly special. I feel like that may be lost upon in all of this is the fact that this is a Steelers team that was so juiced to be undefeated and have this opportunity to play on this stage. What does a Thanksgiving Day football game mean? Because I think that's where some of this vitriol and frustration comes from, is that this game is removed from such a marquee place on the schedule.
Listen, whenever the Ravens and Steelers play, and especially when there's implications involved, meaning that the Steelers can continue to be undefeated and they can potentially damage the Ravens' opportunity to be in the playoffs, it's always a big game. I don't care if you put this game at 1 o'clock and if it's on regular television, everybody's going to watch that game because of the implications. I don't care if you make it available for everybody, they'll still be able to find that game. They'll still have that game. And if you're the Steelers, look at it, the glass half full. Right, the glass half full is the fact that they get to spend Thanksgiving with their family members, and they get to play on Sunday, a more traditional day. The Ravens, it would be unfair advantage, the fact that they haven't even had an opportunity to practice. So you want them to play without any of their running backs, go to their third-string running back in Gus Edwards, and then come out and then don't have practice, and that's how you want to do it? That's how you want to have your pursuit of going undefeated to go with that path? Saying that you basically got an unfair advantage to try and win? And understand, don't get it twisted. The Ravens dominated the Steelers the first game. Mm-hmm. They beat Big Ben up. It was Lamar Jackson's turnovers in the red area that led to the Steelers winning that game. So maybe, just maybe, the Steelers looked at that film and said, oh, boy, we got away with one. Let's try and get away with two because this team has our number. This team, out-physicaled us, and we got away with one. And they got away with the victory, and they're trying to steal another hot W.
Okay, you want to talk about unfair. Why don't they give the 49ers a quick phone call? Bart Scott joining us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
That MetLife turf. We love that MetLife turf, right?
Yeah, do we? All right, let's move on to the Eagles and what's going on with them. And I know this team is not very good, 3-6-1. However, they are right now, as it stands today, first place in the NFC East. Probably not for long, but you never know. Could end in a tie today.
Yeah, could be a tie.
Carson Wentz is on pace to be sacked 60 times this season. His decision-making is questionable. Anyone with two eyes can see that. He has fallen off from who he was the year that he should have won the Super Bowl MVP. Do you think it's time for Doug Peterson and the Eagles to maybe say, hey, let's sit this week out and let's start Jalen Hurts?
Not at all. I think at the end of the day, he is an MVP quarterback, and he does give you the best chance to win. I mean, I think, the Philadelphia Eagles and Doug Peterson needs to stop pointing the finger and point the thumb and understand that, the reason why Carson Wentz is on pace to be sacked, 60 times is the fact that they mortgaged the future for the present. Mm-hmm. And listen, they got what they wanted. They got the desired result. You talk about an organization that's never won a Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl, and they went all in. No team. I mean, you think that the Houston Rockets was transactional? No other GM has been transactional than Maury, than Howie Roseman, and all the moves that he made. And what did he do? He mortgaged the future. They're $64 million over the cap next year. And listen, it don't matter. They got to reload. They have to start over. And we've seen guys have to reload. We've seen after the Legion of Boom outpriced themselves with Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, and Sherman, they had to make sure and reload for Russell Wilson to say, hey, we got to win a different way. Because now our quarterback isn't cheap anymore, so we can't go out and get all these shiny pieces. We can't go out and go get Tommy Jernigan. He gets hurt, then go out and make another trade and go get another trade and bring all these people in and don't have to pay the credit card bill. Eventually, the credit card bill is due, and the interest rates are pretty damn high, and they're going to have to restart it all over again. But it's not Carson Wentz's fault. He didn't forget how to play football. He's still a young quarterback. You have him at a great price when you look at now, if he was an MVP caliber quarterback, and you look at what average quarterbacks get paid nowadays, right? He's still at a discount. You think about, they're not paying him $40 million, Mahomes money. They're not paying him Deshaun Watson's money. But when he's on, can he still play at that level? Absolutely. I mean, he's throwing to Alshon Jeffrey, who looks like he's having, from a wide receiver standpoint, we always say one uniform per person.
You're listening to All-Pro Bart Scott. Bart Scott does a great job with him and Han, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 98.7 ESPN New York. You can also catch them on Get Up at 8 a.m. Shea Cornette, Jordan Cornette filling in for Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin here. And kind of the quarterback, Carson Wentz. And I don't think you have the similar sentiment for the quarterback in Chicago, who at this moment in time seems like he's no longer the starter. Nick Foles goes down a week ago in that matchup versus the Vikings and gets injured in that game, gets taken off in a stretcher. And Bart, you don't really have time for it. I'm curious your thoughts on Nick Foles and his performance last week, him getting injured, and his future as a quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Well, first of all, there's no crying in football, and the fact that he was crying on a cart surprised me. I thought maybe, he was, they had to amputate it or something. Who knew it was just a hip pointer, which is a boo-boo. Meanwhile, I got to watch 40-year-old, 41-year-old Drew Brees with 11 cracked ribs talking about put me in, coach. I'm like, really? What's going on now? This one guy got a boo-boo. Other guy got 11 cracked ribs, and he's fine. Reminded me of Paul Pierce getting carted out in a wheelchair for a shoulder injury the same week that Candace Parker popped hers back in. Like, come on, man. Have a little toughness. This is football, Nick Foles. But, I mean, did we not think that, to quote the great Denny Green, that he was what we thought he was? Like, he's a guy that's great in moderation, like wine, right? You can't have wine every day. You don't want to have wine every day. It's great in moderation.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you don't take the top shelf stuff every day. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
So Nick Foles would be Andre's box wine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to understand every once in a while you just break it out because you got nothing else to drink. But the fact that he's playing, consistently, we know. Come on, this is the same guy that lost his job to a dude that wears Levi Dunkaroo jean shorts in Minshew Mania. You know what I mean? After paying him, so like we've seen him at different times in his career play for different organizations, and he's never been the guy. He's a guy that can come off the bench. He's a guy that, the most popular guy on the team is the backup quarterback, but he's not your starter. And this was Nagy trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat, understanding that, Mitch Trubisky is even worse. He's going to go down as Jake Locker. He's going to go down as Blaine Gabbert. He's going to go down as Blake Bortles, a guy that they reached for, and forever the guy that they passed on and moved up to get instead of getting Patrick Mahomes.
I love that you referenced the type of boxed wine. I don't know that I don't even know the names of boxed wine.
It's a Renaissance man. He knows the classy stuff, and he knows the low end stuff.
I love it. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Mad Dog 2020 all day.
Oh, now don't take me back to my college days here.
All right, Bart. So today is Thanksgiving. That is obvious. So we're going to have some food at some point in the day.
A lot of it.
So what we're doing today is we're comparing NFL teams to a